or Mayegun is back. And if you have done all of that, thank you. So let's get started. Yesterday, one of the arrowheads of the emergence of Bukwari's murderous, ruinous, corrupt, the most corrupt at least so far until Tinubu beats the mark or the record. The most corrupt, backward, murderous, terrorist regime in the history of Nigeria, Bukwari, one of the arrowheads of its emergence and its sustenance for 8 solid years, Aregbesola Baba Kabiru, was on a program or an event where he happened to be one of the invited guests, and he was asked a question about the state of Nigeria if he had to access, assess the situation. And Aregbesola Baba Kabiru categorically said, Nigeria is in a worse place right now. In his own words, that's what we're going to start from this evening. Please.
Who said, for forms of government, let the fool contend. What is best for the people is simply best. Flowing from your question, there is no doubt, the lead speaker said it, that we have seen a worsening economic, even political, spiritual condition of Nigerians. You don't need to be a nuclear scientist to know that things are progressively getting bad. How? Smaller percentage of Nigerians are now prosperous. It's not as if there is no prosperity, but it's reducing and reducing. And when I was born, and at my development, all the things were development, wealth was not as limited to a few number of Nigerians as it is today. And what does that signify? It tells us that we are in a deep problem. You see, as to physical sciences are very exact, but social sciences reflect the condition of the people, and that's why it's not exact. So we will not be here discussing this if things are normal in Nigeria. We know, even those who have extremely better today know that things are not normal. And in addressing it, as far as I'm concerned, I will not be as rigid as Dr. Bugaji. That look, for rhetorics, for political correctness, yes, you can say homegrown. But human beings are the same everywhere. Hunger is hunger. Poverty is poverty. So, a bad system is a bad system. Whatever does not give the appropriate opportunity or right to people will be resisted, no matter what to do to prevent it. He mentioned that he mentioned military rule, he mentioned political system. He failed to mention revolution. That look, if all of that things fail, there could be people can revolt. So if you are conscious of all of this and we know the consequences of things getting out of hand, it will interest us to see how best to govern ourselves to ensure that our people, and you said it in passing, that the primary responsibility of every government is the welfare and security of the people. When those two things can no longer be guaranteed, forget it. There can be a stable society. However, please let me conclude. I know I'm taking time. I have looked at, I've studied the issue of Nigeria, how we even came into existence as separate kingdoms, communities, and whatever. If we don't want to relapse into actually what led us into being colonized in the first instance, because some people want to overlook that. That was a weakness that led to colonialism. It was a weakness. I don't want to go to that issue. If you are strong enough, we would never have been colonized. So we are not strong enough, and that was what led to our own being dominated by others. And part of it is the tyranny of these individual dictators that we call rulers. If you go on believing that a man, a person, no matter how beautiful, no matter how good, who have the capacity to go out 120 million people all alone without checks, we are joking. So, but by that consideration alone, I am opposed to executive system of government. I believe a collective arrangement which parliamentary system guarantees is best for a nation like Nigeria, if indeed we are committed to advancing the interests of the large population and mass of our people. Thank you. Thank you. Who said?
Nuisance lele. Nuisance lele. Nuisance lele.
Aregbesola, Baba Kabiru, Baba Afusa as well. Somebody actually just said that he's also Baba Afusa. Aregbesola Baba Kabiru was a commissioner in Lagos. In fact, at a point, he was calling himself Oromiyan, a religious fanatic himself, or probably one of those who used religion to hoodwink and deceive people for political gain. He was sent to Osun State by Tifnumbu, the caucus of guys who were pushing the idea of Awolowo this, Awolowo that. In fact, they were pushing what they called true federalism, regional system of government, and all kinds of political ideologies that were so appealing to the Yorubas 20 years ago or 25 years ago. They were pushing this. And majority of the Yorubas who felt like politically cheated to have been forced to be part of this one Nigeria idea, they followed these guys, including Tifnumbu, who publicly at the time rejected Nigeria. Okay? In fact, their own political ideology was that for any real progress, meaningful progress to take place in Nigeria, Nigeria had to go back to 1963 Republican Constitution. They deceived our people. So when they finally gained power, especially when they gained power in the western part of Nigeria, they then contributed to further the, what do you call it, impoverishment of our people. There are still people who believed in them, because it is too late for them to now kind of see through the fraud that these guys are. In 2000 and I think it was in 2020, sorry, in 2000 and before 15, 2011, right? Then 2015, when Bokwari came, it was one of those who ensured that even though the Yorubas actually rejected Bokwari in 2011, in 2015, to some extent, he ensured that Bokwari was rigged in Osun State. This guy became governor of Osun through the Adefarasi, or what's that guy's name? The judge that was doling out and dishing out some of this civilian coup of that time, judicial coup, it was called. Before people could actually see through, Tifnumbu has already used the judiciary to reinstate some of these opportunists. Aregbesola Baba Kabiru became governor of Osun State, and within a year or two, Osun State was on the road to a total bankruptcy. They haven't recovered to this day, right? The worst after him, those who actually succeeded him became like worse and worse and worse after. And the Oshun people, there are those who still defend him. But here is the point. These guys lied to our people to believe that partnering with the CPC of Bokwari was in the interest of the Yorubas. And the Yorubas became part and parcel of their change. The fraud called change that brought back Bokwari, an anti-Yoruba, enemy of Yoruba people, right, to power. Because they saw that as a chance for them to get closer to controlling Nigeria. And they did everything to make that happen. Bokwari now became the president of Nigeria. Guess what? True federalism no longer mattered to these guys. Regional system of government no longer was a thing. The 1963, returning back to the 1963 Republican Constitution was no longer their thing. In fact, Bokwari was asking the people, what did they mean by regional system? And this is why the guys behind him, they just kept mute because they lied to our people. So at the end of the day, one Nigeria, impoverished our people, not just impoverished our people more, it also terrorized our people. For 8 solid years, the Fulani terrorists were terrorizing our people, and these guys couldn't say a thing. They also supported Bokwari in destroying the entire Nigeria. That after his tenure, he was rewarded with the position of minister. Throughout that time, he was a minister. Nigeria was fine. Everything was fine. Then, somehow, I don't know, something happened between him and his political mentor, Tifnumbu. Tifnumbu wants to succeed Bokwari because according to him, Tifnumbu said there was an agreement that after Bokwari, Tifnumbu, would succeed Bokwari, and he expected all his lieutenants, including Pastor Ruga, Aregbesola, and the rest of them, including Fashola and the rest of them, to support him in succeeding Bokwari. But was there something they saw that we didn't see? So they backed out. Rather than support Tifnumbu, they did their best to stop him, which finally sort of pitched him against the camp of Tifnumbu. Today, Aregbesola is no longer, it's like a persona non grata in Oshun. They are not in power in Oshun, right? So here is what they said happened. Tifnumbu putting in place or setting the stage for his eventual takeover of APC, Egbekegbe, after Bokwari. Tifnumbu was going to use his own cousin, supposedly, Oyetola. Oyetola was to become governor so that they can secure Oshun. Okay? But Aregbesola didn't want Oyetola to succeed him. So he did all he could, but somehow, with the help of Oshiomhole as the chairman, they managed to get Oyetola in as the candidate of APC in Oshun. That was the beginning of the end of influence of Aregbesola in Oshun. Now, because of this betrayal, they call him a betrayer, by the way, because of this betrayal of a thing between them, Aregbesola decided to further sabotage Tifnumbu in becoming the candidate of APC. This is between them. In all of this, all the interest of Yoruba land, all the talk about regional system, all the talk about Awolowo this, Awolowo that, they no longer matter. It was now about the political survivor of this duo. So Aregbesola was controlling Alimosho local government area in Lagos State. As a former refrigerator repairer in Lagos, who ventured into politics and became one of the strongest men behind Tifnumbu in Alimosho. So it was one of the strongest of Tifnumbu's allies. So what could have happened? What went wrong? Nobody really knows. Now that Aregbesola is no longer in the political corridors of power anymore. And suddenly, they just realized that, oh, it's true. Nigeria is so big that one man should not be controlling the whole country. Talking about parliamentary system of government now, where let everybody just go back to their region. Let everybody just try and control this and that, because he's no longer in power. And according to the Tifnumbu supporters, yeah, they are tearing him apart every now and then. You see, a lot of people have lied or used the people in furthering their political agenda in that contraption, lying to themselves. No, we're lying to the people without kind of like lying to the deceitful people. And there are still those who are using that similar technique today in all parts of Nigeria, especially in Yoruba land. There were those who believed that, there are those who believed that Tifnumbu actually cared about Yoruba. To the point that some of these mofos will tell you that if not for Tifnumbu, there will be no place for Yorubas in Nigeria today, when there is actually no place for anybody in that contraption except for themselves. They all know the truth. That's one thing. Majority of these guys actually knows that Nigeria is not working. Nigeria will never work. Not the way it is currently constituted. The way Nigeria is constituted as we speak is just pretty much like a company, right? Where everyone, somehow, Ogata, yeah, or something. Whether Nigeria are better, better, concern them. It is turn by turn Nigeria Limited. Everybody is waiting for his own turn. Baba, take your turn, make you come out. Just say whatever you can to the people to make them feel like you care, even when you don't. So Aregbesola is coming out to tell us now that a lot of people have become poorer, while few people have become extremely rich. And somehow, Aregbesola believes that it is not just a coup that can happen. A revolution can happen. Really? These are those who backed the the murderous Boko Haram regime that killed Nigerians, that turned the military to a killing machine, the police to killing machines. They were killing Nigerians, but nothing was wrong at the time. And there are those who are with Tifnumbu now. Tifnumbu has also turned the Nigerian military, the Nigerian police to killing machines, killing Nigerians, jailing Nigerians, criminalizing self-determination, criminalizing their protest in a supposed democracy. These were supposed to be the progressives, so the progressives. There are those who are backing Tifnumbu now. When Tifnumbu no longer have that power, when they no longer have the same power themselves, they will automatically now remember that this Nigeria cannot work this way. Even though some of you will listen to them, and somehow the right people like us would say it to your face every now and then, that accept the fact that they are using you to further push their own agenda, the agenda that in no way represents any tribe, any ethnic, or any religion. In that contraption, it is always personal. But there are those who are so gullible, so gullible, that they listen to these guys and they help them push their agenda. And this agenda is never in your own interest. Once they are no longer in the position of, in any favorable position, right? Once they are no longer sought after, then suddenly they will become so like, oh, our eyes don't clear. Nigeria cannot work this way. We all need to go back to regionalism. We all need to In fact, they will begin to talk about a possible revolution. How the people will revolt. How the people can revolt. But when they have right now, those around Tifnumbu, they will tell you that everything is perfect. But Tinubu is doing everything to make Nigeria better. Because it is their turn to chop. Once they are no longer in the proximity of power, yeah, they will now remember that this contraption can't work. They will now remember that, oh, we should probably have a new constitution. Oh, we should actually have a true federalism. Oh, everybody should actually control their resources. But the moment they are there chopping or eating, Nigeria is perfect. But you, the zombies that listens to them, including those of you zombies that are listening to the likes of Kolu right now and those around him. In another few years, these people are going to come like Aregbesola. They will come to you and say, this Nigeria cannot work. And some of you dummies, you will also agree. This is true. And this country can never work. One expired, retired comedian, Benga Deyinka, the other day, came out and said, if Tinubu cannot fix Nigeria, nobody can fix Nigeria. Really? That same Tinubu has now been confirmed by the FBI, CIA, that is actually their asset. Not that it is new, not that majority of you don't even know that before. But now you have it on official record that Tinubu is the asset of the FBI, the asset of the CIA. See, Tinubu was a drug dealer in America, okay? And when he was caught, he ran back to Nigeria. When he ran back to Nigeria, other friends of his, they were picked up, arrested, and Tinubu, that's the reason why Tinubu was not arrested, though. Tinubu got the hints that they are clamping down on the drug dealers in America, and he ran back to Nigeria. Tinubu was not the only person who was a drug dealer in America at the time. His mother, Bibatu Mogaji, was a drug dealer too. His wife, Remi Tinubu, was a drug dealer too. Now, when I say drug dealer, I'm talking about people who are like a drug mules in America. This information are not like, like some of these Ronukus will say, hey, you better watch your mouth. Do you have evidence? Do you think America will know somebody is a drug dealer and they will let him go? You are just being clever by half. Let me give you back the backstory. There was this guy who was a massive heroin trafficker. And they also have those who are working with them, smuggling heroin, trafficking heroin to America in the 80s. But because the heroin dealers, drug dealers, they also need bankers to help them clean their money. So that was where Tinubu came in. So Tinubu helped them, right, to open different bank accounts in his name, in his wife's name, in the name of some other people he knew then. So that, once the drug money comes in, it gets paid into these bank accounts and then gets transferred as often until the clampdown started. When the clampdown started, right, Tinubu got the hint of it. He ran to Nigeria. When he ran to Nigeria, some of those who were not so lucky to run to Nigeria with him, they were arrested, including the ringleader. In the process, among other things, they found with these drug dealers, money were traced into Tinubu's account. And he's already away in Nigeria. When he got to Nigeria, right, because he's been partly, right, funding the Nadeco of that time. This guy had no real job, per se. In fact, the only job they claim he had in America, it was being paid $1,200. But this is a guy who had over $1.6 million in bank. So American DEA, CIA, including the FBI too. In fact, the FBI in particular decided to cut a deal with this guy. If he could give them some of those, he's been helping to launder their money. And in fact, there's a particular $1.6 million in your bank that, listen, if you can give us the names of your colleagues and the rest, give them up, right? We can make a deal with you. Rather than charge you for drug dealing, right? What we're going to do is